What if I told you that on January 1st, 2026, millions of travelers around the world will wake up and suddenly discover that their passports, perfectly valid passports, are no longer enough to get them on a plane, through immigration, or even past the airport lobby? And worst of all, almost nobody knows this is coming yet, because that's the unsettling question, exploding quietly behind the scenes right now. And it's strange, almost eerie, how little it's being talked about. Even though the new passport rules for 2026 are already set to shake up everything we thought we understood about international travel, and if you think this is just another passport renewal reminder or some boring government memo, trust me, you're not ready for what's actually buried inside these new changes, because they go way beyond expiration dates and photo requirements. These rules sound more like something pulled out of a future movie script than a typical travel update. And honestly, the deeper I dug into it, the more I started thinking, wait, why is no one on YouTube talking about this? Why are big travel channels ignoring it? And why are airlines acting so weirdly quiet about rules they're going to enforce in just a few months? I mean, come on, something feels off here. And look, maybe it's not a conspiracy, but it sure smells like one. So here's exactly what's happening. Starting January 1st, 2026. A new cluster of passport compliance protocols, that's the term being used, will take effect globally. And these go way beyond simple renewals or biometrics. Talking about a multi-layer shift in how passports are analyzed. It's verified, scanned, authenticated, cross-checked, stored, and flagged. With a new 3-tier digital identity layer being added to every traveler's profile the moment they step into an airport. And depending on the country, this new layer connects your passport to your travel history, your residency validation, your pre-screening status, your biometric trust score, and even the risk tier your name falls into, based on stuff you probably didn't even know governments tracked. I know that sounds dramatic, but relax. It's not about criminals or anything like that, tactually. The biggest changes affect completely normal travelers. The everyday people who fly for vacations, weddings, business trips, or just to visit. Family, and that's why this new rule set is catching everyone off guard. The 2026 system has been quietly testing in background mode across multiple airports. But it really kicks in when the calendar hits January 1st. And here's the part. Nobody expects your physical passport won't be the main travel document anymore. It becomes more like a key, a trigger, a confirmation device that unlocks access to your real travel identity stored digitally. And if any part of that digital identity is incomplete or mismatched or outdated, or not synced to the new 2026 system, you could literally be denied boarding, even if your passport isn't expired, even if your visa is valid, even if you already bought your ticket months ago. It sounds crazy, I know, but wait, it gets crazier. The new system requires that your passport contains a completely updated digital signature layer, the one hidden in your chip that has to sync with airport identity servers in under 2 seconds. If yours doesn't, the system auto-flags you, tells the airline to hold you, and a manual review kicks in. Which sounds simple until you hear how long a manual review can take with the 2026 rules. Anywhere from 20 minutes to 72 hours, depending on the travel or destination, residency status, and inconsistencies in your digital identity footprint. Meaning a lot of travelers could miss their flights, not because they did something wrong, but because their passport chip wasn't updated, or their data didn't sync with the new global servers. And here's the weird thing, nobody told people to check their passport chips before traveling. Nobody told them that older passports issued between 2014 to 2020 have a much higher failure rate on the new system. Nobody told them that a brand new passport can still fail if your personal data isn't perfectly aligned across all digital travel platforms, including airline profiles, immigration databases, and the new 2026 Identity Verification Network. Yeah, name sounds like something out of a sci-fi show. And before you think, but my passport works fine, here's a fact that startled even me. Internal audits in 2025 found that nearly 27% of active passports contain micro-Urstini data mismatches caused by system transfers, old software, scanning problems, or human entry mistakes, and these errors didn't matter before. But in 2026, they will matter because the new verification system is brutally strict. If your name is hyphenated, if you have multiple middle names, if your birthplace formatting changed, if your passport chip got slightly worn, if your renewal data wasn't mirrored properly, or if you changed your address and that change wasn't digitally pushed to the global identity servers, the system flags you instantly. Now imagine airports during peak season, longer lines, more delays, confused travelers being pulled aside, airline staff trying to explain a system they barely understand, and thousands of people hearing something like, "Sorry, your passport isn't syncing with the new rules. You'll need to file a correction request." That's the nightmare travelers are heading toward in 2026. But here's where the plot twist hits. There's a second set of rules hidden inside the 2026 update. And this one will affect even more people. Passports will no longer be considered valid for travel unless they meet a new predictive validity threshold, which basically means your passport must have enough validity, not just for your trip, but for the expected processing cycle of the new digital system. And that threshold is quietly being raised from 6 months to 9 months for some destinations, and 12 months for others, even though the public documents still say 6 months. Airlines already have the updated compliance bulletins. They aren't required to warn travelers until the rules officially activate. So starting January 1st, 2026, millions of travelers will show up thinking their passport is valid only to be told you don't meet the new minimum predictive validity, which is a terrible phrase, but the exact wording being used internally. And while all of this sounds like doom and stress, here's the surprising part: these new rules weren't designed to make travel harder. They were designed to prevent future identity fraud waves predicted to spike in 2027-2030. As more countries adopt AI-based immigration systems, and governments wanted to put controls in place before those systems go global. Whether that's good or bad depends on how you look at it. But the bottom line is this: starting January 1st, 2026. Your passport isn't just a booklet anymore. It's part of a multi-layered digital identity that must match perfectly across systems. And if you want to avoid chaos, delays, rejections, and missed flights, you need to do 3 things before 2026 even starts. 1. Check your passport's microchip for data errors using any official passport verification, kiosk, or mobile check service to make sure your airline account, immigration profile, and travel apps all match exactly the same formatting as your passport. 3. Renew your passport early if it expires anytime within 12 months of your travel date, because predictive validity rules are already being tested under the radar. And yeah, maybe this all sounds overwhelming, but it's better than being blindsided at the airport, because trust me, the last thing you want is to hear your passport is valid, but your digital identity is not. So ask yourself again. What happens on January 1st, 2026, when millions walk into airports thinking nothing's changed, but everything has?